Okay, so we've got recording, and well, I think we're ready to go here, so let's do this. All right, hello everybody. This is take 2 for the day because, well, last time it was overloading my encoder and the stream was crap. So this time, instead of doing a live stream, I've just decided to go live to tape, so to speak, and we'll run it that way. And, well, we'll do our thing and see what happens. So today is Wednesday. It is Wednesday afternoon. It's almost 2 o'clock now when I'm recording this, and I'm going to upload it pretty much right away. But I wanted to get this out and up on the internet because it's regarding YouTube's parent company, Google. And Google is in a lot of trouble, in my opinion. I think that they've got themselves in deep, and I don't know if they're going to be able to get themselves out of it. I don't know if they're going to go the way of Gawker, just because of the sheer size of them, but hopefully this is going to bring about some major reforms at Google, and it may result in Google being broken up into smaller companies. It may result in more competition in the marketplace, all of which could be good things. So in case you're wondering what this is all about is yesterday I noticed online, and I think it actually went up the day before, but there is a class action lawsuit that's been filed against Google by our good friend James Damore. And of course, James has got himself fired from Google for simply writing a memo, which a number of people at Google didn't like. Which can happen. You share an opinion, and there's going to be a case where some people don't like it. But that's not an excuse to get fired, especially when the memo that he signed or he wrote was backed up with peer-reviewed scientific data rather than just an expression of his own opinion. But you see, the problem is, and I'm going to go through the complaint. The complaint was like more than 150 pages. I have read the whole complaint, end to end. And I did this because I wanted to know what the law firm, Dillon Law, in wherever they are, had to say. So I read the whole thing, and I've distilled it down into their allegations. And at this point, I need to make this clear. I'm not a lawyer, but I do know that I need to make this clear. The complaint is being published online. It has been filed with the court system. So it is a matter now of public record, as is everything that I am going to show you. Okay? I don't have access to privy information anyway. So everything that I've got is public record, and all I've done is I've distilled it down for you so you can see what the allegations are against Google. And they're pretty damning, I've got to tell you. So let's go into it. Now, the first thing that's happened is now there's a number of different allegations that they've made against Google, and including overt hostility to Caucasians, hostility towards males, and hostility to conservatives. And what that means is if you're male, if you're a Caucasian, you're automatically going to be in a hostile environment simply by being white and male. And if you dare express a conservative opinion, well, you're probably going to get run out the door by this point. And there's numerous examples of this happening, and not just James Damore. Now remember, this is a class action lawsuit, so while James Damore's paper is at the forefront of it, this class action lawsuit covers everybody who is Caucasian, who is male, and who has conservative views back 4 years or so, depending on the nature of the class. And all that is in the complaint. I'm not going to go into that part of it. But those are the main accusations made against Google. Now we can narrow this down a bit, and we look at management themselves. The accusation is that they enabled the persecution of people with conservative views, that there was retaliation against those who questioned Google's diversity policy. And I'm just going to, from now on, I'm going to refer to all this as having the wrong opinion. Okay? It just makes it easier for me to say. And the other accusation is Google's been blacklisting people. So if you don't conform to their official view, you end up being blacklisted, and I'll show you some examples of that. There's all kinds of examples included with the filed complaint, and I'm not going to go into every single one of them. I'll go through some, and and we'll see how much time we have. Since this is the second take, I'm going to try and get through it faster than I did last time. But the last thing that Google's accused of doing here with the enabling by management is that they awarded managers who persecuted people. If you had the wrong views, you end up being persecuted, and I'll show you an example of that in a bit as well. So what this boils down to is that there's alleged endemic within Google career sabotage, harassment, and people when their views don't conform to the official Google view, they get fired. Just consider what happens to James Damore, and there's another gentleman as well. But I'm going to go now from what the basic allegations, and I'll give you some of the examples. Now, this isn't everything, but this is some severe ones that are included to show you just how bad things are inside Google. And if you're like me and you support free speech, true diversity, and when I say true diversity, diversity includes conservatives, diversity includes white males, diversity includes women, diversity includes everybody. And this comes down to the old statement, all means all. It doesn't mean all without regard to blah, blah, blah. It means all, everyone, right? I've talked about that before. So here's some examples. Here's an example of an email that James Damore received from someone named Alex Hidalgo. Feel free to pass this along to HR. Yeah, I'm sure he did, actually. And HR did absolutely nothing. Keep them in the loop for all I care. May as well do it early. You're a misogynist and a terrible human. I will keep hounding you until one of us is fired. Fuck you. Okay then. So Alex Hidalgo is responding to, as you can see, James Damore. This is over that memo, or the diversity memo that he wrote. And apparently, quoting peer-reviewed, scientifically accepted sources is misogyny. This is the level of stupidity and hyperbole of Google employees. Let's have some other examples here. Now, David Guterman is also named on the class action lawsuit. This is in response, and this is a post by Tim Chevalier. We don't have a problem with divisiveness. We have a problem with racism here at Google and the population at large. David writes, Tim, that's easy for you to say when you aren't in the hated and despised minority. Just read the comments on these Dory questions. Trump supporters are a hated and despised minority at Google. Googlers feel comfortable slandering them in a public forum and assume there will be no consequences. And yeah, well, but I think that's fair to say, because I think we've seen that. And Tim now writes back, David, I am a transsexual. Mike Pence tried to enact a legislation to force kids, just like me when I was a kid, to undergo conversion therapy, for example, electroshock therapy, to make them cis. I have a uterus. Mike Pence put a woman in jail for having a miscarriage. Now, I don't know if that's true. I have a feeling that's a little bit of spin on what really happened. His policies include women being forced to hold funerals for their miscarriages. I have chronic health. I wonder why. Donald Trump wants to make it impossible for me to get health care if I start a business or become a freelancer. I don't know how. I don't think Trump Care, as it was called, is really going to... But this is the next... This line's the kicker here for me. Don't you dare gaslight me by telling me that I'm not in the hated and despised minority the week that the voting populace of my country declared war on me. Voting for Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton is now declaring war on this poor Tim Chevalier, this trans person. My heart goes out to you, Tim. You know what? I say that somewhat mockingly, but I'm actually serious. Gender dysphoria is a serious mental condition, mental disorder that really does need to be looked at. And you know, I'm not convinced that surgery is the way to go. Cutting parts of your anatomy off or adding parts of your anatomy. You know, hormone replacement therapy, I don't know if that's the way to go. The suicide rate for people post-op and pre-op with gender dysphoria, it's the same. There's other problems at play here rather than just, you know, getting the surgery. It's worked for some. I'll be honest, I'll be frank, yeah, it worked for some. But it doesn't work for everybody. Here's another example, and this is in response to the James Damore memo again. One good thing that comes out of the trash fire, that is OMG 5930, that's the code for his memo, is that several of the people who agree with the document have actively stated their support. Yay! We got them now. Pretty much all of these Googlers are employed at will. If Google management cares enough about diversity and inclusion, they should, and I urge them to, send a clear message by not only terminating Mr. Damore, but also severely disciplining or terminating those who have expressed support. This will send a message that we have zero tolerance for intolerance. I would also like to take this opportunity to say, if Mr. Damore is not terminated by the end of this month, I plan to turn in my 2 weeks' notice. If I don't get what I want, I'm gonna take my ball and go home. And first, James Damore was not being intolerant. His memo was not intolerant. His memo was factual. But according to this person, we should exclude the people we don't like, the people we disagree with. So we'll exclude those and we'll be inclusive so everyone could all be the same. And we'll be so inclusive because everyone's got the same opinions and is the same androgynous gender and is the same ambiguous sexual orientation and is the same sort of not white but not black but somewhere in between with slightly Asian eyes but not too Asian and with, you know, maybe sort of mid-range hair. And you see the point I'm making? How absurd this is? Okay, moving on. Hostility towards conservatives. This person here is suggesting that conservatives get fired. And we've got this one here who would end up with this person at the bottom there is Frank Mahar, white knighting and virtue signaling. Speaking as a white man, well, I can't say here what I really want to say, which would involve some very NSFW language. So let me just say that you and those like you are not just part of the problem. You're most of the problem. And let me remind you of the adage, it's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. You know what, Frank? Thanks for reminding us of that. And yeah, you're the one here who's really making yourself look like a fool. Because you, Frank, are the problem. Not just part of the problem. You are the problem. Because you, Frank, and you, Liz Fong Jones, are the ones who want to drum people that you don't agree with out of your company. I wish, he writes, I wish I could apologize to Erica Baker and all the rest of the women and minorities that this person has insulted. Contrary opinions are insulting. But I can't. All I can do is to speak out against this kind of blinkered, pig-ignorant BS and try to fight it as hard as I can. As others have said, if you're a woman and or a minority and you need an advocate or just someone to talk to, I'm here, and I'm willing to go to bat for you anytime. Comes galloping in to save the damsels in distress. All these poor damsels who have lost their self-esteem because somebody happens to disagree with them. Get over yourselves. FYF. Bleep your feelings. You don't like a different opinion, you don't have to agree with it. You can voice a different one. Say, I disagree. And you know what? It is with disagreement that technological advancement gets made. Well, what about this? What about this? What about this? How about we look at this? And all of a sudden, oh my gosh. All of a sudden we got this brand new idea. That's called brainstorming. And then we get into people being punished for having the wrong ideas. Here's another thing. Oh, this is a response to a person making a post. Here you are here posting devil's advocate troll bullshit. I don't know what the original post is. Along the vague lines of, oh no, some hypothetical white man who is just barely above the hiring bar might be intangibly harmed by some Googlers who decided to give marginally more training or education to non-Googler women. So, if you're a woman, you're maybe outside of Google at the time, and you're a woman of color or whatever, and you're going to get a little bit more training and a little bit more of a handout by Google. They're going to, maybe open the door a little bit. Here it is, the bar, right? This is the way it should be. Anyway, here's the bar. You either pass the bar and you're in, or you don't meet the bar and you're not in. Is there color anywhere in there? Is there anything about gender anywhere in there? Nope. All it is you're either good enough or you're not. And if you're not good enough, you don't make it in. It's called making the cut. But, what Google wants to do is they want to exclude some people who do make the cut because they're white men and include some people who don't make the cut because they're black women. That's a problem. That is racist. Meanwhile, we have an established pattern of actual Googler women who have been at the company for years and, as far as we know, performing admirably in their actual engineering jobs, leaving the company in part because of the stupid goddamn devil's advocate bullshit that shows up every time they talk honestly about their own goddamn experiences at work. You see, there's that crap about lived experience. You know what? Your lived experience might be different than my lived experience. That doesn't mean I don't get to have an opinion. This is why we say you are part of the problem. You are contributing to a culture that drives out women who are otherwise strong Google contributors for all fake internet. All for fake internet points. Well, as I said, once again, we don't know what the original source is. What we do know is that their manager got involved. I'm really sorry for all who got offended. Offended. You know what offense is? Well, offense. I'm offended by lots of things all the time. Oh well. It was flagged to me, I'm their manager, and HR. This is not acceptable behavior, and I do treat this seriously. I don't want to extend my comment here before it gets resolved on the official channels. Thanks for understanding. That there is a statement saying that this employee will be punished for expressing the wrong opinion. Now, is that right? Is that appropriate? Nope. Of course it isn't. Up next. Blacklisting. Some guy named Colm Buckley writes, there are certain alternative views, including different political views, which I do not want people to feel safe to share here. My tolerance ends at my friend's terror. Oh yes, your conservative view is frightening and will scare people. And because of that, I have no tolerance for you. You can believe that women and minorities are unqualified all you like. I can't stop you. Looking at the date, you can tell that this is in response, once again, to the Damore memo. But if you say it out loud, then you deserve what's coming to you. Yes, this is silencing. I intend to silence these views. They are violently offensive. Think about that for a second. violently offensive. An opinion is violently offensive. How the hell can an opinion be violent? It's an opinion. Now, we're not talking about calls to violence. We're not talking about kill all people. We're not talking about what the feminists like to say, kill all white men, or I bathe in male tears. We're talking about an opinion backed in scientific research, peer-reviewed research, and clinical, really. We're not talking about an opinion that's dangerous. And most opinions aren't dangerous. Most opinions are simply opinions. You know, I may think that short white men aren't very good at basketball. And probably most short white men don't qualify for the National Basketball Association. Is that prejudice against short white men from playing basketball? Probably. Guess what? I'm allowed to have that opinion. That's an example, of course, but take your false equivalence and your fake symmetry and shove them hard up where the sun doesn't shine. So once again, we have someone advocating for punishment or blacklisting against people with the wrong ideas. Kim Burchett talks about holding or keeping a list, a shit list, I guess, so to speak, of people. She wants some feedback on how to impose this or implement this, saying that, you know, these are the people that she doesn't want to work with. Stephanie Van Dyke talks about how she uses her block list to blacklist people. And then we have an example of Google's management rewarding people for engaging in this kind of behavior. Congratulations to Simone Wu, this person writes. And they talk about Simone has been doing a fantastic job speaking up for googly values and promoting D&I in the wretched hive of scum and villainy that is, once again, James Damore's post. Through posts like that, it can be very draining to stand firm in the face of persistent recalcitrance. I'm indebted to Simone for keeping at it, and I hope that her example serves as an inspiration to others who can help share the burden. Okay then. So we've got Google providing awards to employees for standing up and speaking out and harassing and bullying and attacking those with conservative views. In what universe is this okay? In no universe. If you think this is okay, if you think Google was right to fire James Damore, if you think that white men should be held back from their equal opportunity, and by the way, before I even continue that thought, equal opportunity means equal opportunity for everyone. It does not mean pushing down a certain group of people because they happen to have been so-called a privileged class because that is not leveling the playing field. It is oppressing another class to the benefit of yours. And if you think that's okay, then you need to check your privilege. I'm Steve Britton. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this, and if you want to see more, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. You know how to do it. There's a little bell icon down below, and there's a little subscribe button down below. And as well, you can find me in a number of different places on the internet. You can find me on Facebook with Steve Speaks Freely. You can find me on Twitter at SCBritton. And of course, there's two very important places that you can also find me. This is where, if you want to support the show and help me expand the audience and do all the stuff that us creators try to do with their shows, you can find me on minds.com, minds.com, at scbritton, and you can wire me points, and you can wire me a few bucks if you choose to. You can try wiring me some ducks if you like, but I don't think you're going to get anywhere. And the other place that you could find me, and it's a brand new site, it's called makersupport.com. So you can check me out there as well, also at SC Britton. So remember that, SC Britton, Britton, and you can find me in all those different places. And above all else, please do subscribe. And also comment. I like to know what you think, so give me some comments while you're at it. Thanks.